What's going on, guys? Bexio, and today we've got more crypto contagion news with BlockFi, Voyager, and FTX actually coming through and attempting to bail out all of these different companies. Basically, Sam Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX, he's a billionaire from, I believe, like Bitcoin and crypto arbitrage, and he did that when Bitcoin and crypto was smaller. Now he owns one of the biggest exchanges in the world, and he's kind of bailing the entire system out right now because obviously his business is in crypto and he doesn't want to see it go down in value or just collapse. So he's out here trying to do it all, but he's not just doing it to be a good guy and be the savior of crypto or whatever. It's going to help him in his business to do this and reach out these helping hands and these bailouts to these companies like BlockFi and Voyager, because ultimately he will either take control of these companies or at bare minimum have an equity stake in them now, and as they get more valuable or the crypto space grows, that money is going to grow as well. We can see right here, people focused on Celsius. Meanwhile, all these companies were getting bailed out. BlockFi got bailed out from FTX. Voyager bailed out from, you guessed it, FTX. And those are the two we're going to be talking about. Nexo, haven't looked into it that much, so don't know what they're doing with raising funds. And then crypto.com, I guess nobody knows, but it is right here. BlockFi got a $250 million credit loan or line of credit from FTX. We've got Voyager, Almeida lending $485 million to Voyager, which is also Sam Bankman-Fried's kind of company. He is involved in that, the CEO. And, more people talking about BlockFi is in trouble here, even after the Almeida loan, the FTX loan of $250 million. This guy has them losing about $350 million this year and negative gross profit. And then from these leaked financials. So who knows how accurate they are, if they're real, if they're fake, nobody can really know. But from these, you have lower retail volume, higher borrowing costs due to rates, normalized credit loss, and a new RCF interest. So basically, just a lot of things not going great for BlockFi here, at least in the short term. But FTX's strategy and Sam Bankman-Fried's strategy of kind of owning these markets is playing out, because we can see they gave this BlockFi loan $250 million line of credit. And now they're reportedly in talks to acquire stake in the crypto lending firm. So not only do they reach out as a bailout and say, hey, we got your back, we're going to give you some money. He's also reaching out and saying, we gave you some money, give me some equity. And maybe he buys the equity, maybe they get it in exchange for this credit line, or however it goes by. But the plan most likely is going to be kind of taking over the crypto industry and taking everything under his umbrella so that he can have FTX, Almeida, Voyager, BlockFi, have like the lending platforms, have the interest-bearing platforms, have the exchanges, have the private equity firm. He can just kind of be a do-it-all person in crypto. So that's more than likely what he's trying to do with this. But it gets really interesting if we dive into Voyager, because BlockFi apparently didn't have any exposure to the 3AC fund that collapsed, that was over leveraged and went to zero. And they didn't have any outstanding, loans to them or anything, according to the CEO of BlockFi. So we'll put them and say maybe they can find a way to make it out, maybe. But right now, Voyager got their loan of $500 million, or their credit line of $500 million from Almeida. Same thing, backed by Sam, and Voyager is a broker, blah, blah, blah. And Almeida is trying to help through the current market turmoil. The only problem right here, I think that this loan was 15,000 Bitcoin and 250 million USDC or stable coins, I think, to be around that and to get to like 500 million or maybe 300 million stable coins. But the problem here is Voyager did have exposure to 3AC and to their collapse and lost a lot of money because of them. And we can see right here, this is the money they lost. So they had exposure to 3AC, and it consists of 15,250 Bitcoin and $350 million in stable coins. And then they've not repaid the amount. Failure to repay in 2 days should be a default, and then Voyager intends to pursue recovery. We talked about this And them pursuing recovery, I mean, great. If they don't have the money, what are they going to do? They can't give you the money. So, but looking at the loan of 500 million, this loss is more than 500 million. I think it's like 660 million more, or about around there. But if we take it 15,000 Bitcoin, if that's from this loan, that means they still lost 250 Bitcoin at bare minimum. So that means 250 Bitcoin that is customer funds they don't have to pay out. So if you get stuck on Voyager and you can't withdraw, or they freeze withdrawals, it'll be because they don't have the Bitcoin for you to withdraw. Big problem. You can see how that's a big problem. And on top of that, $350 million loss. If it's 250 million, that means $100 million loss even after this loan. So even after you get this line of credit, you are still down 250 Bitcoin and $100 million. You are in a very bad spot and in danger of going insolvent, in danger of collapsing. And if you are on Voyager, get your money off, get your crypto off, withdraw it, get everything you can off of all platforms. Voyager, BlockFi, everything should be in cold storage so that you are not exposed to this, because you don't want to lose your money when everything hits the fan. You don't want to be the one stuck in the exchange when they freeze withdrawals. So make sure you get your money off of exchanges, off of lending platforms, put it in cold storage. And then when these eventually come out and they freeze withdrawals and they're collapsing and they go bankrupt, you won't be in there losing all of your money. But to add to this, it gets even worse for Voyager. So you thought a 250 Bitcoin and $100 million loss after the loan was bad. It gets even worse for them, because right here, failure to repay by the 27th would be an event of a default. But they might not be able to do that or default them or really go after them because somebody got their hands on the lending platform, the lending obligation. So take it with a grain of salt. Could be real, could be fake. Let's assume it's real at this point. And talking right here, one of the parts in the lending agreement is no event of default shall have occurred. So what does that mean? Explains why Voyager's not issued a default on 3AC yet. Issuing a default notice to 3AC and the bailout funding conditions are violated. No more loan. So it just got way worse. If they default at 3AC, they cannot accept the $500 million. It'll be taken off the table. Alameda will take it off the table. One of their conditions is no events of a default. So instead of losing $100 million and 200 Bitcoin, they will lose all of this. They will lose 15,250 Bitcoin and $350 million. It'll all be gone. The $660 million plus will be gone. And if you have Bitcoin on Voyager, 15,250 Bitcoin's gone. So if you are the last one to leave Voyager and you run into the problem where they don't have the Bitcoin to give you, now you just don't get your money. It's done. It's frozen. And you will just have to sit there and stare at it and kind of hope and pray that they don't go down and collapse and go bankrupt, and that you can actually eventually at some point get your money out. The people in Celsius are going through this right now, and which it makes sense why Voyager dropped their daily withdrawal limit to $10,000. I don't remember what, I think it was 20,000 before, 25,000, could be wrong, but they dropped it to 10K. They're trying to limit the withdrawals, trying to make things bleed out as slowly as possible so that people don't realize how bad it is. And right now, there is a panic. There is a bank run on all of these platforms, and all of them are trying to not break. They're trying to make sure that they can get through this or fake their way through it until things get better. And it's just not looking like they're going to be able to. So them dropping their withdrawal limit, it's kind of writing on the wall. They're showing you that things are not good behind the scenes. They don't have the money. They can't do this. And if you are sitting in there and not taking your money out, you're taking massive, massive risk that shouldn't be taken. And just put it in cold storage and put your mind at ease, because you don't want to have your money in here or your Bitcoin in here when they send out that email saying withdrawals are frozen, because then you're really going to freak out and you are at risk of losing everything then. And the age-old saying, always right, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. The only way your Bitcoin is 100% secure is if you have it in cold storage and you own the keys. That's the only way that it's actually your Bitcoin. So, and from all of this happening and all the collapsing going on, we are seeing even traditional banks getting into the scene. Goldman raised $2 billion to buy Celsius network assets. So, one big thing here, one big thing to consider, if they are raising this money, they probably know that Celsius is going to declare bankruptcy. They probably know Celsius is going down, and they're getting ready to buy everything cheap. And that doesn't mean investors are made whole. That doesn't mean Goldman's coming in here to buy up their assets and make sure you get your money back. They're coming in here to buy up the assets and take them for themselves, and maybe take the company for themselves and take ownership of this thing and try and run it from there, or bring it under the Goldman Sachs umbrella. But they're not going to do this to make investors whole and be the good guy and bail out this crypto firm. They're not doing that. They're doing it for themselves. But this is a sign maybe that Celsius is going to declare bankruptcy. It is collapsed, and people are going to lose everything. And next up could be something like Voyager, maybe BlockFi. I mean, BlockFi could maybe make it through if they don't have the 3AC exposure. They're still losing ton of money, hemorrhaging tons of money, not being able to raise money. They're still in a very bad spot. So I wouldn't trust any platform, but it is looking like traditional banks are kind of seeing this and saying, we can get a ton of Bitcoin for dirt cheap and bring it into our umbrella and offer it to our clients, and kind of bring in this trading platform thing, offering it to our clients, probably rebrand it. But this is just kind of showing, things are not good. Things are collapsing. So the big thing for all of this is you do not want to be the one stuck in the exchange when the music stops and when ultimately payment comes due and you can't get your money out. So if you have anything on any exchanges, any lending platforms, all of this stuff, definitely take it off. Put it into self-custody, put it into cold storage. Make sure that you own the keys. Make sure that you have your crypto and Bitcoin safe and that you are not exposed to this risk. Because right now, even the interest rates, I mean, what are they, like 3% is like a good one? If 3% is not worth risking losing everything and all of your Bitcoin, it's not worth it. So make sure you protect yourself from all of these things going on. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. As always, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys in my next video.